Have you ever walked through a European city and felt the weight of history in the air? It's not just the old buildings or the cobblestone streets. It's something deeper, a kind of collective memory etched into the very fabric of the continent. Today, we're diving into a powerful idea: how Europe transformed its darkest traumas into foundational policies, creating a unique form of institutional memory with a clear message: never forget, never repeat. Think about the European Union. We often discuss it in terms of economics or politics, but at its core, it was born from the ashes of two devastating world wars. The generation that lived through that unimaginable destruction made a solemn vow. They saw firsthand how nationalism and the rivalry could tear the continent apart. Their solution? To bind their nations so tightly together, through trade and cooperation, that another war between them would become not just unthinkable, but materially impossible. The Schuman Declaration in 1950 wasn't just about coal and steel. It was a peace treaty disguised as an economic plan. It was trauma turned into policy. This is the EU's origin story. Its DNA. It's a constant, living reminder of what happens when division wins. This principle extends far beyond just preventing war. Let's look at Germany. How does a nation reckon with the Holocaust? Germany's answer has been a relentless, unflinching process of Vergangenheitsbald, a long word that means coming to terms with the past. It's not about sweeping history under the rug. It's about putting it on full display. You see it in the memorial to the murdered Jews of Europe in the heart of Berlin, a stark and unsettling landscape of concrete slabs. You see it in the Stolperstein, or stumbling stones, small brass plaques embedded in sidewalks outside the last chosen homes of victims of the Nazis. You stumble upon them, you look down, and for a moment, an individual story is pulled from the abyss of history. This isn't just about remembrance, it's about education. German law strictly prohibits Holocaust denial and the display of Nazi symbols. This is institutional memory in its most direct form. The lesson from the past isn't just a suggestion. It's codified into law to protect the future. This isn't unique to Germany. Across Europe, you find this same pattern. In Spain, the Pact of Forgetting after Franco's dictatorship eventually gave way to the Law of Historical Memory, an attempt to formally recognize and honor the victims of the Civil War and the subsequent regime. It was a societal decision that silence was no longer a viable path to healing. The trauma needed to be addressed, acknowledged, and integrated into the national story. Similarly, the conflicts in the Balkans in the 1990s led to the creation of the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia. This was a global statement that genocide and crimes against humanity would not go unpunished. The Srebrenica Memorial is a hauntingly powerful site, a permanent testament to the victims and a warning against the horrors of ethnic hatred. Each of these examples shows a conscious effort to take a deep, collective wound and build a framework around it, a legal, social, or political structure designed to prevent its recurrence. But why is this institutional memory so crucial? Because human memory is fragile. Generations pass, first-hand witnesses are no longer with us, and the visceral, emotional impact of events begins to fade. Without institutions to carry that memory forward, the lessons are easily lost. Policies, laws, educational curricula, and public memorials act as the hardware for this cultural software. They ensure that the why behind Europe's integration, its human rights laws, and its democratic values is never forgotten. When new leaders come to power, they don't just inherit a set of rules. They inherit a history lesson embedded within those rules. The European Convention on Human Rights, for instance, wasn't drafted in a vacuum. It was a direct response to the state-sponsored atrocities of World War II, a declaration that individuals have fundamental rights that no government can take away. Of course, this process isn't perfect. It's often messy, contested, and incomplete. Debates still rage over how to remember, what to prioritize, and whose stories get told. The rise of nationalism and historical revisionism in some parts of Europe today shows just how fragile this memory can be. It's a constant struggle, a continuous effort to keep the lessons of the past relevant in the present. It highlights that institutional memory isn't a set it and forget it system, it needs active participation. It requires each new generation to engage with that history, to understand the sacrifices made, and to recommit to the values that grew from that sacrifice. It's a dialogue with the past, not a monologue. So, what can we take away from this? The European project is, in many ways, an unprecedented experiment in large-scale trauma management. It is a testament to the idea that the worst aspects of our history can be harnessed to build a better future. It's a reminder that memory isn't just about looking back. It's about building guardrails for the road ahead. By turning the pain of the past into the policies of the present, Europe created a powerful mechanism for self-correction. It's an ongoing, imperfect, but ultimately hopeful story of a continent that looked into the abyss and chose to build a bridge instead of a wall. The next time you see a European flag or walk past a war memorial, remember the story. It tells a story of loss, of learning, and of a promise to never forget. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive into Europe's memory. If you found this perspective interesting, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more explorations into the ideas that shape our world. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. What other examples of institutional memory can you think of in Europe or elsewhere? Let's keep the conversation going. See you in the next one.